The text starts with an invocation. Salutations to the Self, the bestower of knowledge in the form of my teacher. This treatise, the knowledge of the truth, is for the benefit of qualified seekers of liberation. We said that I don't have an experience problem, I've got an ignorance problem, and we said last night, if you'll recall, that the only way to get rid of ignorance is not by doing something. That ignorance, that actions done in the name, action that's done in the name of ignorance, just what? Reinforce ignorance. The only thing that's going to get rid of ignorance is knowledge. And to get knowledge, you need a means of knowledge. See? You need a means. Knowledge doesn't just fly in out of the sky like a little bird and sit on your shoulder and say, tweet, tweet, your limitless non-dual action is ordinary unconcerned awareness. And even if it does, you wouldn't know what that meant. You wouldn't know what to make of that knowledge. Huh? Knowledge requires a means. For you to see my body, you need what? Eyes. They're means of knowledge for objects, for forms. For you to know what I'm feeling, you need a heart. Your heart is what? Suitable for understanding my feelings. If I'm grumpy, you don't see grumpiness with your eyes. You feel it with your mind. So your mind or your heart is the means for understanding my feelings, gaining knowledge of my feelings. For you to understand what we're saying here, you need an intellect. We call it a buddhi, an intellect. An intellect is necessary for understanding ideas. You don't feel ideas, and you don't physically see ideas. You only understand ideas or know ideas through the intellect. And everybody's got what? A body, a mind, and an intellect. Those means are government issue. They're issued by Bhagavan, by Krishna, by consciousness, at the very beginning of the creation. When the individuals came about, then you got those three means of knowledge. Perception and inference. Inference being what? A logic that comes based upon perception. So those means we've got. And those are the means by which we negotiate are in this Dharma field here. The problem with the means of knowledge that we have is what? The self-awareness, you, cannot be objectified. Understand? Yourself is not an object. All of these means require objects. So if the self is not an object, then these means are not going to work on the self, are they? This is another reason why you can't experience the self. Because what? The self is not an object. Now just in your mind, try to take yourself and put it out to where you could see it and smell it and taste it and think it. See, can you do that? Can you split yourself up into a subject and an object and know it? You can't. That's what non-duality means. Non-duality means you can't turn the self into a subject and an object. Maya seems to do it. The Creator seems to do it, but it's really not possible to do. Which means what? As an individual, as an experiencing entity, as a person, it seems like self-knowledge is beyond my capabilities. Even though God has given me the capabilities for understanding this, a world of objects, God seems to have what? Been remarkably lax insofar as it did not, it, he, she, or it, however you want to think of it, did not give me what a means of knowledge for the self. That's why when you talk to anybody in the world and you talk about awareness and consciousness, they say, what are you talking about? What have you been smoking? They don't know. Worldly people have no idea what it is, and you can't blame them. You can't say they're stupid. They're not stupid. The most intelligent person will say, there's no such thing as the self. What are you talking about? Limitless, non-dual actions, ordinary, unconcerned awareness? Non-dual, unconcerned awareness? They're like, what this man is talking? Why? Because you can't see it, you can't feel it, you can't think it, huh? And that's all I got working for me. You can see the problem. Can't experience it. It's not an object. So what? So God made a mistake? No, there is a means of knowledge for the self, and the means of knowledge for self is the scripture. It's Vedanta. This is the means of knowledge for the self. And how does this means of knowledge work? It doesn't promise what? It doesn't promise to give me an experience of the self, because why? As we already said, I'm already experiencing myself 24/7. It doesn't promise to prove that I exist as the self. Because what? That I exist, is obvious, isn't it? Does anybody have to tell you that you exist? Anybody? Good. It doesn't promise to make me aware. A lot of spiritual people think, oh, I'm spiritual. They go, well, what's the benefit? Oh, I'm getting more and more and more aware. No, people actually think they're getting more aware. It doesn't promise to make you more aware. Why? You can't get more aware because there's no more or less for awareness. In other words, it's not in duality. You can't have more or less of an object, of something that what? Is non-dual. Awareness is not going to become more aware. So we don't have to prove that you exist. We don't have to give you an experience of yourself, nor do we have to prove that you're aware. What do we have to do then? What good is this means of knowledge? This means of knowledge simply what? Uncovers what you already know. You actually know that you're this, but knowledge is covered by what? Ignorance. And what is the ignorance we're talking about? What is that ignorance? Very simple. Beliefs and opinions about myself and the world. Erroneous beliefs and opinions. I actually think the reality and myself are something other than what they are. And where did I get that ignorance? From Mom and Pop. Huh? Dear old Mom and Pop, who loved me so much. What have dear old Mom and Pop done? They've dumped all of their ignorance into me when I was this little dependent little baby who didn't know anything. When my mind was open, I had no discrimination. They just loaded me up. The society, Mom and Pop being the society, the television, etc., etc., etc. The whole world just, I'm just this little tabula rasa, this little open, conscious, beautiful conscious little being. I don't think I've got a problem. And what? And Mom and Pop, boom, they just dump all this stuff in me. The whole society conditions me, and I don't have any discrimination, so I just accept the notions that I've been given about who I am and about the world, how the world, the Dharma field, how it works. I just accept them. And then I build my whole life based upon this structure of ignorance. The whole structure of my life is formulated on self-ignorance. That's why I chase objects. Because I'm ignorant what? What am I ignorant of when I'm chasing objects? That I'm whole and complete. That I'm non-dual. That I don't need anything to complete me because I'm already complete. Understand? So what this teaching does is it simply removes your ignorance. Now, they say simply, ha ha ha. It's not so simple. Why not? First of all, because ignorance is hardwired. It's down deep and it's there. And I actually think that what is ignorance is knowledge. I'm actually mistaking ignorance for knowledge. Understand? That's a huge problem. And I am very attached to my ignorance. That's why I said last night, this is a very challenging teaching. Because what you're going to hear, what you hear over and over again, is going to be contradicting what you actually believe and what you actually think. And this means that knowledge doesn't work if you're the one who decides what the truth is. Understand? If you can't surrender to the teaching and look at what you think and feel in light of the truth, and keep whatever you know that is in harmony with the truth, and reject what isn't in harmony with the truth, then this is not for you. If you think, oh, I know so much, I'll just sit there and listen to this guy talk about the Vedanta, and I'll decide whether it fits into my idea or not. And spiritual people that have been around for a long time, they really think they're very knowledgeable. They're the worst ones to teach. Believe me. Give me a nice guy off the street who's a plumber or a baker or a candlestick maker, and I can teach him very easily. But the spiritual people, my God, they've got their whole cosmologies and their whole psychologies and all their stuff, and they've got it all figured out, and they think and they've invested a lot of energy in it. And they don't want to hear these simple truths. So it's like pulling teeth. It's like a hard work. The hard work's up to you. I did the hard work. And it worked for me. But listen, I was just as opinionated and foolish as anybody else. So I'm just speaking from experience. I'm not trying to discourage you. But for this means of knowledge to work, you have to be sympathetic to it. You have to have some kind of faith in this. At least temporarily. What? Pending the result of your investigation. That is, we're not asking you to have blind faith in this knowledge. We're saying, at least provisionally, temporarily, take it on board, and then see if the tools that we give you don't reveal the fact that you are this. That's all we're asking. But if you're going to sit there in your mind and think, oh, I know better, and this is that, no, that's just Vedanta, like it was, then it isn't going to work for you. Personally, I don't care. It's up to you. You do whatever you want. If I cared about what you think and feel, I'd be in trouble. So my job is just to teach. And if you get it, you get it, and if you don't, you don't. I love you just the same. It's all the same to me. So I'm not putting any pressure on you to get it or to understand. You have to see the value of this and take it seriously. That I really do want freedom. Remember, because we said yesterday, that every human being wants what he wants, not for the object itself, but for the freedom, the peace, the joy, the bliss, the happiness that he or she thinks is in that object. Which means what? My fundamental motivation here is for freedom. That's really what I want. I mean, look, mosquito bit me. So what do? Do I ignore it? I don't ignore it. I go like this. Why? Because that little irritation is limiting my pleasure. And I try to remove it by scratching it. When I itch it, the pain goes away and it feels good. Even on that most minute level, everything that we're doing here is what? An attempt to remove this sense of limitation that's tying us down. And all we're asking you to believe in here is that you're beautiful, that you're free, that you have no limits, that there's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to get, you can't, and there's nothing you can't lose anything. That's all we're asking you to believe. So, I mean, it's sad that we should have to ask you to believe that about yourself, isn't it? Huh? It's pretty sad when you think about it, because we're asking you to believe something that's really beautiful, something that's really wonderful about you. But, you know, having been born in ignorance and lived in ignorance for so long, I don't feel so beautiful, I don't feel so wonderful, I don't feel so free. So we have to ask you, well, please give it a try. Please at least believe this, call it a theory if you want, at this stage, you can call it a theory. Please believe this theory and see if the tools that we give you don't confirm what we're saying, that you are in fact beautiful, that your nature is love. If you knew that if you knew that you were love, and we'll get to that, then you wouldn't be chasing love. It's just a fact. So, to get rid of ignorance, I need knowledge. The means I've been given are not suitable. I have, however, been given this means. And this means of knowledge doesn't come to you unless you're prepared. You're sitting here for a reason. Why you came here is there's a reason for it. Understand? It's not, we don't advertise. Well, I don't, I'm not on the internet trying to advertise and get bodies to come so we can have a big satsang and all that sort of. It's not like that. There's something in you, that desire for freedom has caused you to what moved your body and your mind here, to hear this means of knowledge. If you're not prepared for this, you'll come and you'll look at this me and they'll say, who's that big blowhard? He's just talking a bunch of nonsense. And you'll scowl at me, and as soon as the break is over, you'll run out and you'll never come back. Because it's fine. I just understand. I don't feel anything personal. I just know that person's not ready to hear it. They're not ready to hear it. So now it says here, before we begin the inquiry or the investigation, the teaching, we invoke the power of our consciousness of the self with this invocation. Salutations to the self, the bestower of knowledge in the form of my teacher. You get what? You get knowledge through teaching. Self-knowledge is, hey, you can't, you say, I want to be a physicist. Okay, great, you be a physicist. Go right ahead. You go out and be a physicist. Well, you're not going to be a physicist. You have to go to university and you have to get taught. Because you're not going to figure out physics on your own. It's just not possible. It's a collective wisdom. It's a collective knowledge. And you have to subject your mind to it. It says here. So you need a teacher. Understand? This treatise, the knowledge of the truth, is for the benefit of qualified seekers of liberation. The statements we've made so far are fundamental qualifications. That you know you're going for freedom, that you only want freedom, that life's a zero-sum game, and that the means of knowledge at my disposal is not adequate. Those are basic qualifications. Now we're going to talk about specific qualifications. This is bad news, right? Huh? You can see why the Neo people like Muji somebody told me, 1,300 people coming to see him in Rishikesh. 1,300. You know why? On the very first page of Muji's book, you know what it says? No qualifications are necessary for moksha, for enlightenment. It says there is enlightenment, but you don't have to be qualified. So you get 1,300 people. And we get what, 30, 40. We get the qualified ones, the unqualified ones go there. Now what? It's an arbitrary thing. Some misty old sages in India sat down and wrote these books, and they said, only people that have brown skin and
glowing eyes and living in the forests of India, they're qualified, and all the rest of those suckers who live over there in the West, they don't get to be qualified. No, it's not like that. It's not an arbitrary thing. This knowledge has been around for a long time. Millions of people have gained enlightenment. Billions of people have sought enlightenment. And then, so there's a knowledge of the qualities, the kind of minds that those people who gain enlightenment have, and there's also very clear knowledge about people who are not qualified for enlightenment. Did you ever wonder why there's so many seekers and so few finders? Nobody actually thinks about that. All of us seekers, we're like chasing the lottery. You know, in the lottery, nobody thinks, well, only one guy's going to get this. Why should I waste my $10 and go down to the convenience store to get a ticket? Because, hey, nobody thinks that. Everybody thinks they're going to win. I'll just pick the numbers. I'm special. I'm really going to get it. Well, no, it's not like that. Now, so, and we're not telling you these qualifications to discourage you or to chase you out. Understand, we're going to give you some methods for what? Developing the qualifications. But on this path, it's a difficult path. And there's going to be a lot of obstacles. You're going to find yourself stuck. And there's a reason why you're stuck. It's not that you're a bad person or you're just not lucky or anything like that. It's not like that. You're stuck because there's some qualification needs some work. Your discrimination, your dispassion, or whatever it is just not up to the mark. And you need to what? Do a little more work on yourself till you are qualified. And once you've adjusted your qualification a bit, then what? That problem, you can solve that problem. So it's not like this is we're condemning. Say, well, in our club, you need to wear a white shirt and tie and have a Porsche and a good job and da-di-da. It's not like that. The qualifications are purely subjective. It's nothing to do with your color of your skin or your nationality or your gender or your age or any of that. These are just qualities of your mind that are helpful and necessary for understanding that I am free. See, why isn't it good enough for me just to say, you're free? Put the money in the donation box. Well, I can do that. Don't you? You want to believe me? I know what I'll tell you. It's not, huh? It doesn't work like that, does it? You have to be qualified to appreciate this fact. And that just means what? You have to subject your mind to this teaching, and to do that you have these qualifications. So it's going to tell them now what they are. 1. Viveka. What is meant by discrimination between the permanent and the impermanent? What is permanent? Awareness, me. Awareness is unborn, it doesn't change, it doesn't die. So it's permanent. I am permanent. Remember, let's not call awareness awareness, because we talk about awareness like it's some object, missing the point. Me, I, the subject, awareness is permanent. That's a good idea, isn't it? I mean, that's a fact, but that's a pretty good idea too, isn't it? Why? Because it means I can relax. My mad pursuit of objects, I can relax. I don't have to get all my toys and all my stuff before I die, which is what, worldly people are doing. They never stop getting more and more and more and more and more, doing more and more and more and more things. Why? Because they think they're going to die. And they got to enjoy them. And before they do die, you better enjoy it. I better have my relationship, my car, and my vacation, and da-di-da-di-da, my education and all that stuff, because I'm going to die one day. No, wrong. You're not going to die. You were never born, so how are you going to die? And there's no such thing as death, in fact.
Why? Because to say death is purely a belief. To say there's such a thing as death for you, you'd have to be there to see yourself dying, wouldn't you? And if you're there to see yourself dying, are you dying? I don't think so. Your body, the body dies. We know that. The mind dies. We know that. But what about me? Do I die? The answer is no. I am permanent. And what is impermanent? The objects presenting themselves to me. And viveka, discrimination, means simply what? Knowing the difference between what doesn't change and what does. You have no control over either one. You have no control over the objects. They change according to their nature, and you have no control over awareness either, because it's always the same. It can't be changed. There's nothing you could do about awareness, about yourself. It's a given. You know, normally what we use our discrimination for is what? Discriminating between various objects in our lives, isn't it? Should I have an apple or an orange? Should I drink a beer or a champagne? Huh? Should I go to the Canary Islands or to America? Huh? All our discrimination is about what? Choosing between various options in the objective world. And here we're defining discrimination as what? Knowing the difference between what doesn't change, myself, and the objects here. And the problem is what? There's a confusion between these two. And I'll just tell you, a simple confusion. If you say, I walk, has anyone ever said, I walked? Yes, everyone has said, I walked. You know what that means? You're lacking discrimination. Why? Why? Because the I doesn't walk. The body walks. Huh? The body moves, but the I doesn't move. Understand? I feel. Okay? I'm hungry. I think. I did. Does the I think, feel, eat, or do anything? Huh? It can't, can it? It's everywhere. It's everything. It doesn't change. It has no sense organs and no mind. Your awareness has no sense organs or mind or feelings or anything like that. It's just awareness. So it's not doing all this stuff. But I think I am doing all this stuff. That's called aviveka. That's called a lack of discrimination. Not knowing the difference between who I am and what I'm doing, thinking, and feeling. We call it adhyaropa, or superimposition, mutual superimposition. What belongs to the objects I project on me, and what belongs to me I project on the objects. So there's a twilight zone here where I'm not clear about who I am. We're human beings are living in a twilight zone. It's a great story in our scriptures. It's a snake in the rope. In twilight, a hungry, thirsty traveler saw a well. And he went to the well to pick up the bucket to get a drink. And he saw a big snake, cobra, coiled next to the bucket. And he froze in fear. And he knew that if he went toward that cobra, he'd get bitten. He knew if I went away from that cobra, he'd get bitten. And he was just frozen in fear. And just then, a little old man comes along. There's always a little old man in his face, which represents the scripture. And little old man said, "What's up?" And he said, "Oh yeah, get a stick, kill it. It's a snake. It's going to kill me." Ah! And the old man looks at it. And he says, "Hey," he laughed. He says, "Hey, that's not a snake.
That's the well rope. You know, because they coil the rope next to the bucket, and then it comes up over the edge of the bucket. So it looked like a cobra. You know, the man was weary, he was thirsty. It was evening. It was dark. It was not completely dark, and it wasn't completely light. So he confused the rope for a snake. And what's it's a great story. We could talk about that story for 2 or 3 days, actually. But in the context of this discussion, what's the operative or the most meaningful aspect of that story? That what? That it's twilight. Because in the light of day, full light of day, could he have made a mistake? In other words, with full knowledge, he could not have made a mistake. He'd have seen a rope. He would not have seen a snake. In the dead of night, in other words, if he's totally ignorant, he couldn't make a mistake either, could he? Animals are like that. Animals don't make mistakes. Humans make mistakes. Animals just follow their programs because they're totally ignorant. You know, there's no mistakes for them. So in total darkness or total ignorance, they can't make a mistake either. But in twilight, it's possible to confuse one thing with another. It's possible to confuse myself with the objects that are presenting themselves to me. What?
Can I ask you?
Yeah, sure.
What you said yesterday about it's the same, that the body is in awareness, an object of awareness,
Yeah.
and at the same time awareness pervades every cell.
Yeah.
Is that my hand is me, but I'm not my hand?
Yes, it is. That's correct.
It's very difficult to...
It's very difficult to understand that. It's
Yes.
easy with the wave in the ocean,
Yeah.
or the clay in the pot, but with your own body, I know people had a problem with that. They thought, what's this man talking about? The body's not conscious, it doesn't feel anything, it's dead, it's inert. Huh? I could see a lot of question marks went on your foreheads when I said that. It's just a minute. Well, that's a belief. When you've been taught properly, you'll understand clearly what we mean. But I believe that my body is conscious. Why? Because of this association. Huh? Even to use the word association is difficult because it implies that there are two different things here. This is all just one thing. But it looks, it's so close. Awareness is so close to the objects. In fact, all the objects are made out of awareness. The God or the power of Maya or the power of ignorance generates objects out of awareness, and they're actually made of awareness. But they don't look like they're made of awareness. They look like they're something else. But I assume that they're awareness because what? They're made out of awareness, and there's no physical separation between what? Awareness and the objects. It's like a mirror and a reflection of the mirror. Now, where is that reflection in the mirror? How does it relate to the mirror? Is it part of the mirror? Well, no, because when the reflection goes, the mirror isn't changed, is it?
Because the body is a reflection and
Yeah.
awareness is the mirror.
That's right. That's right. The body and the mind are what? Are reflections. They don't have any independent existence. They only exist when they appear in the mirror. And they're not part of the mirror, but they're not separate from the mirror either. See the problem? You know, we just want it, well, is it like this, James, or is it like that? Tell me, it's this way or that way. Well, hey, that doesn't work. You have to have this is a subtle understanding. You have to be able to look at things from what? Not just a single perspective, but from both points of view, which implies what? There's a third point of view here. Also, we'll get to that. You'll see it. This knowledge will unfold as we
proceed with the teaching. So, and what does it say? So, it is the conviction, okay, the conviction, the hard and fast conviction that the self alone is permanent and everything experienced is impermanent. That's discrimination. Understand? You don't chase things because you think they're going to, you know, like for example, love. Let's use that. That's a good example. You don't chase love because you think it's impermanent, do you? Huh? When you fall in love, you don't say, oh, it's going to, my mother, she did. She knew that. My mother was very wise. She said, oh, 2 years. You got 2 years to be in love, and then it's over. Because I was just in love and I was telling her about it. She said, it's over, 2 years. You get 2 years and that's it. No, I didn't argue with her. No, Mom, this is going to last forever. Huh? Because what? That kind of love, relationship love, is what? An object. It's impermanent. It's the transaction between a subject and an object. That's all. So any transaction between a subject and object is in this field of Maya, in this field of change, and it's not going to stay the same. We want to like freeze, you know, these good experiences. We want to, when they have a good present experience and we're getting happy from an object, we want to freeze it. Say, oh, you know, like when the weather's beautiful, it was yesterday or the day before, it was a beautiful day. And I told God, just freeze it like this. That's all. You know, as soon as you tell God to freeze it, God unfreezes it and gives you a cold, miserable, wet, rainy day. Understand? So I am what's permanent. And what? The objects appearing in me are not permanent. And that's a cautionary tale. That means go right ahead and enjoy these objects, enjoy the world all you want, but don't expect any experience to last. Don't expect that. Because it won't. That's bad news for the one who wants, isn't it? The one who wants thinks, I'm going to solve this loneliness, this emptiness, this incompleteness problem by getting something, by getting some object that will make me feel good all the time. And sorry, it doesn't work. And a discriminating person knows that. So that's the first qualification. Dispassion, vairagya. Dispassion is the absence of desire for the enjoyment of the fruits of one's actions in this world. Oh, can I go home? What? What? You've got to be kidding. I am only doing actions because I want the results. And when I don't get what I want, what do? I get upset. I get angry or I get depressed. Which means what? I do care about the results of my actions. All my emotional problems are what? Are nothing but what? Disappointment or exhilaration based upon what? Whether or not I'm getting what I want. You don't have to go to the psychiatrists, believe me, to figure out your problem. You don't need to investigate your past and go back and find out all the reasons why your mother did this and your daddy did this. The reason you're emotional, the reason you're unhappy is because, very simply, you're not getting what you want right now here. It's not. Or you think you're not getting what you want. Even the very thought that you're not about to get what you want will send you into a funk of cosmic proportions. No. So these people who are qualified, what? They know very well that it's a waste of time, what? Caring. They will do the actions, but why are they dispassionate people? These qualified people. Why? Because they know one thing that worldly people don't know. That is, and it's very simple. Now, more bad news, I'm sorry to say. The results of your actions are not up to you. If they're up to you, you can go ahead and get as emotional as you want. You can blame yourself and you can feel bad. And you can have all kinds of problems. But the fact is, they're not up to you. They're up to the Dharma field. When you offer an action into this field, you lose it. It's out of your control. You have surrendered it to the field of action, and that field is going to what? Determine the result based upon all the factors that are operating here, and it's going to return that result to that action to you in a form that's what? That's commensurate with the nature of the field. In other words, what? It's not up to me. And therefore, I do my actions, but I'm cool. And everything what? And that means not just about what's going to happen, but what's happening now. Why? Because what's happening right now is the results of all my previous actions as interpreted by life, by the Dharma field. So these people don't get upset about what's happening right now. It's fine. My father was like that. He was very dispassionate. And most of his friends, they were good old boys, you know. And you know, if the wife was in a bad mood, they didn't care. And if they lost their money, they didn't care. They just went fishing and enjoyed themselves. Huh? And if they didn't catch a fish, they didn't care. Yeah, they didn't care. Because what? This has nothing to do with me. So calm down, take it easy, relax. Understand? It's in this relaxed, dispassionate, humorous state of mind, this ironic and humorous state of mind, that you can actually understand what we're saying here. So viveka, vairagya, discrimination and dispassion. Then, control of the mind and the senses. Number 3. Control the mind doesn't mean I'm not going to think those bad thoughts anymore. I'm only going to think good thoughts from now on. Hey, no, wrong. You're not causing the thoughts that are appearing to you. So, So if you're going to control your mind, you're not going to control. Okay, you're so powerful. Tell me this. Tell me. What are you going to think in 1 minute? Just write it down on your paper there, and then we'll keep on with the teaching. You tell me what you're going to, if what you think you're going to think in 1 minute, it actually was what you were thinking in 1 minute. No, it's not, because you're not in control. You're not thinking. Thinking is happening. It's happening. It appears. You're not in charge of your mind. Now, so if I'm not in charge of my mind, then how am I going to control my mind? I'm going to control my mind by observing my mind from the point of view of awareness. As soon as you look at it from this point of view, what happens? It just, either the problem just disappears, or what? It just shrinks down to a manageable size, and it's not a bother for you anymore. So it's only by changing my relationship to my mind that what? My mind becomes controlled. And if I can't control my mind, I'd better be, even if I can, I'd better be able to control my senses. Because if you want a lot of problems in life, just do anything you want. Just say anything you want and do anything you want. You'll get problems in spades. Because the Dharma field that's causing your experiences here, that's producing the results to your experiences, it doesn't care whether you get what you want or not. It doesn't care what you do. You're totally free to do what you do, but when you put forth these actions in the world,
you're going to collect karma, one way or the other. Some may be good karma, or maybe bad karma, but you're going to collect karma. And you don't particularly want to have karma. In other words, you don't want your mind, what? Agitated by what's happening. You want what? Your mind to be what? Contemplating on your nature. So, the biggest one's speech. The tongue, that's probably the most dangerous organ you've got. You know that? That one will get you in more trouble than anything. Saying, but you see, I need to tell the truth. No, you don't. The truth. What do you really feel? How do you really feel? No. Don't ever tell anybody how you really feel. Or you'll just be agitated, and they'll be agitated, and you won't feel good at all. You need to learn how to keep your mouth shut and let reality be what it is. And control your senses. Food, that's another tongue problem. I'm lonely, I'm incomplete, inadequate, I feel empty, and what do? I start stuffing my mouth. I need a little bit of taste here and there to make myself feel wonderful. Sex, another one. Sex is great, but hey, take it easy. Or what? You'll find yourself with some serious attachments and some serious emotional stuff going on. And you'll not be what? Feeling very free at all. You'll be feeling very, very, very attached and miserable. And so on. So, control of the senses. This is a real important one, the next one. Strict observance of one's duty. It's called swadharma or uparama. This has two aspects. This qualification has two aspects. The first is, don't stick your nose in other people's business. Okay? Life is not a soap opera. Soap operas, how they are? Everybody's sticking their nose in everybody else's business, manipulating each other right and left. For your own good, I'm doing it. When you take care of other people's karma and other people's lives, what are you doing? You're enabling them to be what? Useless. You're denying them the opportunity to be self-reliant. And what are you doing? You're not taking care of your own stuff. You're putting your own stuff on hold to save the world, to fix everybody, to make a difference. In America, everybody's making a difference. The difference. The world is fine as it is. Your husband's a jerk, let him be a jerk. Don't try to fix him. It's fine. Stick to what's native to you, what you need to do. That's called swadharma. What's appropriate to your nature. Because it's through working your stuff out here properly that you get to here. If you're just wasting all your time, trying to fix the world, and spiritual people have this big problem. They just want to, we want the world all full of love and peace and joy. Forget it. The world is got a little bit of joy and a little bit of misery. It's been that way forever. It's the good and the bad and upside down side. Just forget it. Stick to yourself. Take care of this problem. Who am I? And once you take care of this problem, then you won't find any problems with the world. The world will just be fine. And even if it isn't, you'll understand that it has nothing to do with you anyway, that the problems are purely ignorance that are causing the problems. And you can't take away anybody's ignorance. So, stick to yourself. That's, yes sir.
But it doesn't mean that you can't help other people.
No, it doesn't mean that. That's right. You can help other people. If what? You're requested. But you need to be requested at least 3 times. And the 3rd time should be in writing. And you should go to an attorney, to a lawyer, and have it notarized and stamped. And then you should read it and put it aside for a few weeks. And then look at it and think, well, should I do this or not? Understand? Because there's this big, big need to be loved by everybody. Oh, I'm just so needy. I want people to love me, so I'll look after you. I'll do this for you. You know? And hey, do take care of yourself first. I know that sounds really bad, doesn't it? It just sounds so contrary to the notion we've got in the society. The second point is what on this topic? The second point is, don't try to live up to an ideal. Don't you try to be something other than what you are. You know, all the spiritual people, the men, they all want to be like the Buddha. Peaceful, peaceful, effulgent, calm, equanimous. And the women all want to be like Amici, hugging. Oh, I love all sentient beings. I get a backache because I love 4,000 people today. You're not Amici, you're not the Buddha. Pack it in, give it up. You're you. Huh? You're just you. Stop trying to be different from what you are. Accept yourself as you are. And then what? And then you're well on the road to what? Freedom.